allow me to take you to the country of diversity, to the country of high mountains, to the country of Silk Road, to the country of war-torn Afghanistan. I would like to take you for a few minutes through my journey of my life from beautiful city of Venlo. We go back to Afghanistan and we go to my childhood. As long as I can remember, I dreamed of becoming a doctor. While other children played cops and robbers, I always played the part of a doctor. I even had a prescription notebook with Dr. Koehestanie written on top. I couldn't wait to start school so I could pursue my dream. In Afghanistan, one should be 6 years old before they start with primary school. By the time I was 5 years old, I begged my parents to enroll me to the primary school. Eventually, I convinced them and they were agreed. My aunt took me to the school. Because I was very young, the principal asked me a few questions. When I answered these questions, he said, "You genuinely love it to start the school. We will make an exception for you, but promise me that you are going to do your best." I was unbelievably happy that day. I couldn't wait to start the school. So it was for me, really, even now when I think about it, I feel it. How unbelievably happy I was. But this was in 1987. Not a very promising time for a child to grow up in Afghanistan. The Russians were still in Afghanistan. With the exception of Kabul, capital city where I live, Afghanistan was engulfed in war. So the situation got worse day by day. In 1992, the civil war reached Kabul as well. There were dozens of rockets falling on a daily basis. Everybody wanted to go to somewhere where it was safe. There was no dream anymore. The dream was to survive the day. But my father didn't want to leave Afghanistan. I suppose he thought that the situation will get better soon. We moved to the northern part of Afghanistan, a city called Mazar-e-Sharif. In Mazar-e-Sharif, the situation was relatively peaceful, despite the fact that I had to leave my family members, my friends, my school in Kabul. I was very happy that I could go to school again, so I could follow my dream again. So the dream comes back, and I was very happy in that. Before long, a new phenomenon started to exist in Afghanistan. A group unknown group, called Taliban. They say that the picture tells 1,000 words. You could see it in their eyes. By this time, they captured city after city in Afghanistan. When they reached Mazar-e-Sharif, I was 16 years old. There was again war, misery, pain. There was no dream anymore. The dream was to survive. I recall that era as the darkest period of Afghan history ever. They destroyed school. They destroyed books. They prohibited girls to go to school. Even music was not allowed to listen. The television was not allowed to watch anymore. If they caught you with that, they would punish you, or even, how strange, they will kill you for it. Again, there was no dream anymore. The dream was survive. You never know where it will be safe. Will it ever be safe? Sometimes, when you struggle that much to stay alive, you ask yourself, you rather want to be killed or don't stay alive, because it's a very, very huge struggle. But in between, there was relatively peaceful moments, and my father used the opportunity to send me to a safer place. I remember the discussion with my father. Me as a young boy, 16 years old, And I wanted to stay with my father. I wanted to stay in Afghanistan, but he wanted to send me to somewhere else. In between, my mother also got sick as well, ill as well. So if it couldn't get worse, so we went to the hospital with my mother. There was chaos. There was blood. There was pain. There was misery. But we managed to find a doctor. I know his name, Dr. John. I think he was from Sweden, and he was Doctor Without Border or Doctor from Red Cross. When he examined my mother, he said, this woman should be operated immediately. He called something, he said like, it sounds like ileus. It is an obstruction of the gut. And he said, when it is going to be perforated, she is going to die. So she got operated the same day. And after 2 days, we went back home because the situation was very dangerous to stay at the hospital. I knew that my father had a discussion with me to send me to a safer place. So he started again. When it was safe again, he said, I want you to leave Afghanistan. I told him, I'm not going to leave Afghanistan. I stay with you. If we die together. And if we stay alive together. He said with this word, and I remember it still, he said, my son, you're a burden for us. I want you to leave Afghanistan. I rather want to cherish the hope that you are alive somewhere else, that I will see you dying in front of my eyes. I think this would be very difficult for a father to say that, to tell that to a child, still 16 years old. I remember the farewell that I had with my mother especially. And in our culture, the men, they will never show their emotion with their tears. It is a part of Eastern culture, they don't do that. When I said goodbye to my mother and I looked to her eyes, I knew that this was the last time ever that I will see my mother again. And when I was in the car and the car moved, I saw my father that he was wiping a tear away. I knew then this will be the last time that I will see my father. Otherwise, he will never cry. So he found someone to take me to a safer place. Nothing is difficult than trust someone you don't know. You just hope that he will guide you and help you well. Believe me, through my journey I experienced people who are doing human trafficking, they are very heartless. So my journey starts from Wharton, Afghanistan, to go to somewhere. Ending up 3 times in jail in different countries. And at the same time, when you don't have passport, you go by train, by car, even by walking at night through the jungle. I will just share one example. I suppose it was in Turkmenistan, one of the neighbor country of Afghanistan. We stayed there for 1 month. We stayed in a barn, the place where they normally keep the cattle. We stayed there for 1 month. You had to be ready 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. We were with a group with elderly people, with children. There is the survivors of the fittest when you experience. When I call a travel agent, you may call it whatever you want, you like to call. When he opened the door, you had to be ready to follow him. I did that. I slept with my shoes on in front of the door. You want to help, but the problem at that moment, it is the nature of a human being. You want to save yourself. I suffered that much that I even forgot my parents for a while. So, eventually, finally, crossing many countries, I arrived in 1998 in the Netherlands. In a country where you don't speak the language, in a country you don't know anyone to trust, in a country you don't know where to go, where to begin. When I applied for asylum, I went to a place where there was asylum seekers from all over the world, all with their own pain and miseries. The first few weeks I was very confused. I didn't know where to start, what to do. But however, soon I realized that there were a lot of people who wanted to help me. There were a lot of opportunities there. And I knew again, I had a dream. I didn't want to spend all this suffering for nothing. I wanted to become a doctor. I knew that. But I was 17 years old, far stretched. How could you manage to speak the language and all these different steps you have to go through your goals? But I did it. When I learned the language, Dutch language is very difficult. I will assure you for that. It's very difficult. When I was finished with my Dutch language, I started the secondary school here in the Netherlands. In 2003, believe it or not, I was enrolled at the medical university. Again, one of the happiest moments of my life. I was allowed to start with medical university. Where I learned my language, it was in Venlo. To be precisely, it was in Blerik. So that's my connection with this city, what I love. In 2010, Dr. Koehestanie. Now I was allowed to have Dr. Koehestanie for real, not only for play. I was Dr. Koehestanie. But through the suffering, from war to Afghanistan, having a dream to become a doctor in the Netherlands, I knew one thing. Education is very important, especially for the children. Education is life. Education is peace. Education means no war. So I co-founded Pieman Foundation. I went back to Afghanistan. Who are helping with Pieman Foundation? Those street children. They are the prime target of Taliban. If you don't help them, they will become eventually the suicide bomber, not only for Afghanistan, maybe even for us. We cherish them. We give them a dream. We help them. They don't have to beg on the street, and we bring education near to them. And at the same time, we built libraries at different primary schools. We have right now, luckily, 9 and different schools in Kabul. You bring book to them. You bring knowledge to them. What is eventually the final, what you get from it? Zainab, also a child who is supported by Pieman. And she's going to become my colleague. It is her dream to become a doctor. And I hope that she will become, but she has a dream. And we give her hope again. Not only Pieman Foundation, what can I do when I'm a doctor? I co-found MCAN. By the way, Pieman means, in my language, promise. We promise to those children that we are going to help them. And MCAN, the same pronunciation, means possibility. We want to renovate the medical education in Kabul University. We are with 11 doctors from different fields. We want to do that because education and health are the two most very important what you could do. Why I am today here? What I'm telling you is not only my history. It's not Parweez Koehestanie to tell you that he is becoming a doctor. No. I'm telling you the history of a lot of refugees who are on run. They want to find a safer place, but very few succeed. Very few. Many of them, they can't reach that barn where they stay. They will stay there or they drowned, they couldn't reach their destination. What is important in the world? My message to diasporas, to those who are from different countries, not from Afghanistan, but also from Somalia, from Mali, from I don't know which country should I call now. The diasporas, I reach to them. Please take part in the rebuilding process of your country. Your country needs it. And also, my message to the world, to the international community is, please invest in education. Don't invest in war. When you invest in education, you will have life, you will have peace, you will have humanity. And by the way, I forgot one thing. I am a lucky one. My parents are with me. They are in the Netherlands. And not everyone is that lucky. Thank you very much for your attention.